I'm George Edward, and I'm the secretary of the club, which means I'm a board member, and I have been president, I've been vice president, and treasurer, and secretary most of the time. This building is 102 years old. It was the cornerstone says 1916, and it was a station on the Milwaukee Road, and as you can see, it's built under the tracks. So it's rather unique, although there are some other ones on the system elsewhere. But this place is such that you come in here, we're standing in what would be the waiting room. And I'm standing by the ticket window, and people would actually get their tickets and go up behind those yellow doors, and there's stairs that go up, and they would wind up between the tracks upstairs, get on the train. So it's rather unique. We've been here since 1936 because this station was abandoned by the railroad and sat empty for a little while. And the Model Railroad Club started in 1934, and they actually had like a round robin between people's houses and stuff. And they also had a portable layout that they showed at the various things. And finally, they were looking for a temporary location where they could actually build a layout, and this became available. And so this temporary location has been in use for, what's that, 84 years, I believe? Yeah, not bad for a temporary location. In fact, no club in the whole country has been in the same location for any longer than that. There are older clubs, but not many, but they've moved here and there. The club came in here and they built a layout and they got it up and running rather quickly, so by the end of 1936 they had the thing more or less complete. And they used it that way until about 1947 when they said, well, let's do something different. And they tore it out and they built the layout that you see here. Most of it is from 1950, say. And this has been added on to or maintained and all that sort of thing ever since. So it's also a very old model railroad. The buildings down here in this town, this is actual a trolley layout, which is based on just trolleys, but mostly local trolleys from way back. And it actually runs an overhead wire. I don't know if you can see it, but these poles hold up wires, and the actual models collect current off of those. And it goes all over the place, but it's currently not, shall we say, operable, because very few of our people are into trolleys at the moment. So we're concentrating on keeping the rest of it going. When we have open houses and things, a lot of times people will ask us, is this Lionel? Possibly because it's rather large. And we say, no. And they say, well, how can you tell? And we say, well, we've got 2 rails here, and here's a piece of Lionel track, got 3. So it's all in a matter of how the electrical current gets to the models. And ours is what you call 2-rail, and this is what we call 3-rail. And oddly enough, a lot of the stuff can be converted. The wheels are rather, you see what they call a flange there? It's rather deep. And that will run on this a little bit, but not well. And so what we can do is convert them to wheels which are a little more fine. I don't know if you can see that there. But anyway, it's a matter of, you have to be a little more careful in your model building. But it makes us be careful. The good thing about the size is, though, the tolerances are nice. You can see it. Well, before World War II, it was the majority size among model railroaders, and nowadays, as motors and gears and stuff have got smaller and smaller, and people have they desire to have more and more trains to fill up their space, well, this is actually a minority size now. You can't just go in a hobby shop and buy stuff like everybody else does. We do it a lot online, or there's a swap meet once a year, but it's a collector's thing. And it's mainly a matter of keeping the stuff going. 1/48 the size of the real stuff. So if you have a car like this up on the tracks above, you'd have to take 48 of these end to end to be as long as it was. 48 of them piled up, 48 of them side to side. So it's still quite a reduction, but it's something you can handle it. It's nice and heavy. It goes clunk clunk.
I'm currently a president and basically caretaker of anything with a motor and wheels here. The control system here was designed by a Cutler hammer engineer in the 1930s. A series of about 18 or 19 wafer switches underneath this rotary switch. It's kind of like driving a dump truck. So ideally it should go very smoothly, but usually the best you can hope for is a slight interruption in power when changing blocks, which seems kind of primitive, but the standard of the time was to have somebody else throw power switches for you, and that's not very efficient either, so this automated it quite a bit. And there's two power supplies, one for eastbound, which is 30 amps, 18 volts, and one for westbound, which we're running now, which is 20 amps and 18 volts. And the 2 yards in the back room and some of the local boards that control portions of the main line, I believe, run off the eastbound power supply.
Happy to say that the Model Railroad Club of Milwaukee has never had any restrictions on any membership, be it for racial or sexual identity. For example, here from a pre-war picture before World War II, here's Doug Jones, who was very well known in this hobby for years and years. He joined before the war. These are some of the original people, and he served in the war and came back after the war. And he's a heck of a modeler and kind of like a mentor. You know, the older fellows take us young guys and say, well, let's do this, or why don't you try that? And sure enough, and so he'd always be badgering us about, when you're going to finish that, so so I can see it. And so, like I said, we've had several members of color, and several, we have a female member too. And we've had that be prior.